if I'm honest, DB, I genuinely think I hit the ball just like Scottie does.
You probably got his footwork, that's for sure. I haven't seen you play, pal. Welcome to the No Ifs, Buts and Bogies podcast. We are a no-nonsense, straight-talking golf podcast discussing all the hot topics in the world of golf. This podcast is also brought to you in association with Barretto Golf, a stylish, affordable golf clothing brand. Visit barrettogolf.com for all the latest offers. That's BARRETO golf.com. This podcast is also brought to you on behalf of the Golf Gang Network. Please do also go check out some of the other golfing podcasts. Without further ado, I will pass you on to your host, Mr. Harry Clark.
Here we go. Right, let's do exactly what we say on the tin today. Let's get straight into the Masters, all right? And let's kick things off with Scottie Scheffler himself. Regained the Masters title, second major. What a guy.
I mean, it's pretty much, in some ways, look, it was a great weekend of golf. Great weekend of golf. I watched pretty much every shot. But in some ways, after the day one, I knew he was going to win. And it was a bit like just waiting for
it was very inevitable. Yeah.
It was like waiting for the inevitable. There was like not really a moment, really, when I thought this guy's not going to win. There was like a couple like maybe on the last day, or maybe Colin might do it. Maybe Max could do it. Maybe Aberg's going to do a madness. But no, never really was. To be fair, after day one, I was fully in Camp Bryson DeChambeau, to be fair, because I thought, here we go. He's got his new 3D printed golf clubs. He's come out. He's laid down the statement for everyone else. And I thought, bloody hell, give him the green jacket now. Stop the count. Stop the count. But no, realistically, I think Scottie's the best. He's the best player in the world by miles. And he just shows it time and time again. I don't know what your thoughts are, AB.
Yeah, mate. Well, I agree with you. So that was his third win in 4 events. So before that, obviously, he's already won the Players and the Arnold Palmer this year. And he came second in between in the event in Houston. So, yeah, I guess it was
stupid, like free putt there as well. He probably should have taken that to a playoff and probably would have won it.
Yeah. So he came second by a stroke that day. But I mean, he's been in the mixer pretty much every tournament this season. And I mean, it was pretty inevitable. So he's, I guess, the PGA Tour, right? They posted a load of his stats today. And he's got the record in the 2024 season in 28 different categories, which is just a madness in itself. I'm not going to go through all of them. So obviously he's number one and he's currently leading in the money list because he's winning every week. But a couple of key things that I wanted to pick out from that post. So first of all, greens in reg, he's 74.55%. So he's basically 75% greens in reg. So on that one alone, yeah. So compare that to AB 19 handicapper at Brampton Heath Golf Club in Northamptonshire. My stats are 21% greens in reg for probably about the last year and a half.
Do you know what? There's 2 ways of looking at that. You are 1/3 of the way to being the world's number one golfer. If you break it down statistically, you're not far away, pal. Just the 2/3 left to go.
Well, I think this is what, the high handicapper needs to be looking at in terms of trying to improve their game. Obviously, we're not going to get to that level of Scottie Scheffler, the number one golfer in the world, 75% greens and reg on the best courses in the world. But if you're the high handicapper that wants to get a little bit, like say I'm trying to get to a 15 handicap right now, I want to be getting my greens and reg up to give me better scores, basically. So, yeah, that's a really, really key stat that Scottie currently holds for this season. The other 2 that I wanted to draw your attention to is his round 1 scoring average, which is 67.33%. So he's basically, that's what he's shooting in the opening round, around 67, 68. And then his final round scoring average is 66.7. So
it's not bad. It's not bad.
He's opening up in tournaments and going low. He's staying in the mixer until the final day, and then he's putting his foot on the throttle and just blitzing everybody out of the way. And that's exactly what happened over the weekend.
Do you know, the more I think about it, in all the time I've watched golf, my mindset would just be, you know, go out, shoot as low as you can, replicate it 4 times and try and win, basically. But the more and more I think about it, when you actually break down that stat, I wonder how genuine, deliberate that is. Like, get out there, put a marker on the board. Then don't really make any mistakes in the next 2 days. Just hang around. You don't need, because he knows that he's got it in his locker. He's backing himself to do it on the last day. So just linger. And if you pick up a shot, you pick up a shot here or there, give or take. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't. Just be there or thereabouts. And then on the last day, have a go at it. The more I look at the stats, the more I think about it and break it down. I actually think that's probably his game plan every week. When you think about it, like, rather than just going out, like, he's probably good enough to go out and try and shoot 67 every time because he's got that in his locker.
Yeah,
but he doesn't, in a weird way. Not that he doesn't need to do it; he doesn't have to do it, but he's doing what he needs to do to get over the line. And he's not been outside the top 10. Well, he's been outside the top 10 once this year, which is like, it's kind of a bit unheard of, really. Like, especially in recent times. I don't know, back when, obviously, Tiger in his prime, a little bit before my time, but I'm sure he was probably knocking around quite a lot. But this is Tiger-esque start to the season sort of stuff.
Absolutely. And like you say, the conditions on sort of the end of day 1 and day 2 and day 3, you know, is exceptionally windy. So the fact that he reduced his errors, he started well, reduced his errors in the middle, and then put his foot on the gas on day 4. And he's ended up what was really close for 3 days, even 3.5. If you think the front 9 was pretty close, the lead was like chopping and changing. And then he's ended up winning by 4 strokes. You know, the guy's different class at the moment.
He just doesn't seem to make mistakes. And when he does, if he does get in a trap or something, he's straight out of it. And it's like an unbelievable shot to recover. It's just insane, isn't it?
Exactly.
With him,
I think on the last day, he bogeyed one and bounced back with an eagle, I think, didn't he? Let me just double check this.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Well, I've actually got the bounce back stat as well, seeing as you've asked. So he's leading that in the PGA Tour this season as well at 44.4%. So, like you say, Clarky, if he does make an error, there's no panic. He is bouncing back better than anybody else in the world at the moment.
Oh, that's round. So round 4, 7th hole, bogey, 8-9 birdie, then 10 birdie, shock. Then 11th hole, bogey, 12th. This is the par 3, which a lot of people go wrong on. Par, take that. 13th birdie, 14th birdie, 16th birdie, rest par. It's unbelievable stuff, really.
Yeah. No, it is another level. And given that, how many more do you think he can win this year? I'll get your guys' thoughts first, and then we'll come on to our followers and what they thought.
So, I think he will definitely win at least one more. But given how difficult it is to win majors, and just in general, just be consistently good at golf, considering he's had this amazing start. I'm a bit of a gambling man, law of averages. I'd be surprised if he won more than one more major, because I think he will win more tour events throughout the year. Statistically, someone else will win at some point. So I think probably. But he is that good, so probably one more. Actually, someone who answered on our poll, replied to our poll, but the answer that they gave wasn't on the answers, actually replied with 0. And I've actually just heard from him 10 minutes before we come on the pod. And it's a very logical reason as to why. And he's got some recent experience with it himself. So he's actually just raised the valid point that Scottie Scheffler's missus is about to have a child. And whilst Scottie is at home, he will not be sleeping. And whilst he is traveling, he may be missing crucial life points. He's a family man. He said he would have left the Masters. If his baby was going to be born on one of the days, like how much is that going to affect him? You know, will he miss some tour events? Will he not play some golf for a few weeks? That could actually play a factor. I didn't actually think about it a minute ago.
He said all of that. Then there was photos of him straight in a pub when he got back. Did you see that? He's just gone green jacket, straight down a boozer. Yeah, Mrs. hasn't been pregnant. So he came out and said all that stuff. And also, do you not think that's a great escape? Like maybe the kid's playing up a little bit and he just goes, I tell you what, love, I really need to go and get some extra cash. I'll go and get the next major. I will leave you with the kid. He or she is being a little bit of a pain.
Scottie's a religious man. He's a man of God. I believe he's a family man. I think he would have left if his missus was about to give birth. But there we go. I think one more. I don't think any more than one. Just basically law of averages. What do you think, AB?
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with you. I think so. I voted in our own poll as well, just FYI. But I would say he's going to win one more this year, and I think it will be the US Open. So one that he's not won. So obviously he's won his second major this week, but he's won the Masters twice. So I think he'll be the US Open champion this year as well. But yeah, I think it's tough to call. The PGA Championship is always quite wide open, and so is the Open Championship, really. And then obviously the Open Championship, you've got the variables of links golf that throw a spanner into the works in every tournament. So yeah, I think he'll be the US Open champion this year, but I don't think he'll be getting much more than that. It's quite a stats-heavy pod this week. I've got a few more stats for you in terms of multiple wins by player in recent times. So the most recent person to do it has been Brooks Koepka. So in 2018, he won the US Open and the PGA Championship. So he's obviously a big name. He's always thereabouts as well, like Scottie is. So he's the most recent one. Before that was Jordan Spieth, who, when he won his first two majors, 2015, he won the Masters, and then he became the US Open champion a few months later. Rory himself has done it. So he won the Open Championship and then followed it up a month later with the PGA Championship in 2014. Padraig Harrington, 2008. You've got to go back for him. So
that's what that jumps out. You've done it. You forget he's obviously, we know he's a major winner, but you forget he's done it like bang bang.
Yeah. So he won 3 in 2 years, but basically in 2008 he won the Open Championship and the PGA Championship in a matter of weeks. And then the last person before him was Mr. Tiger Woods, and he in 2005 won the Masters and the Open. And then in 2006, he defended the Open and won the PGA. So he's the last person they're the last sort of 5 guys to have done it. Incidentally, Tiger Woods is also won 3 in a year before, in the year 2000. And then obviously in 2001, he became Masters champion. So he held all 4 at once. He is the only person in the history of golf to have done that achievement. But I guess you have to go back to that. That's in the year 2000. So we're talking 25 or 24 years. But there's only been 5 golfers that have won multiple majors in a calendar year. So I don't know what the percentage is on that, but it's quite a rare achievement. So
generally, there's 4 different winners from 4 events.
Yeah,
and on occasion there'll be 3 if someone wins 2. So on current form, it's hard to see him not winning pretty much all 4, to be honest with you. But I just think statistically, logically, in my brain, he ain't going to do it. So I will say 1. What are you going to say?
I agree with you. 1. Clarky, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go for 1. Fine. I'll just sit on the fence. our followers, the BG followers, they put forward 16% with 1, 49% with 2, and then 35% with 3. If he doesn't win anymore, who do you think actually comes close, or who's going to win those others? Because at the moment he is strides ahead, right? So who comes
miles? What I'm going to throw this one out there, right? And people cue the backlash from people because I can't see any other way. There's 2 names I'm going to throw out there, and I'm just going to reel them in as we go, right? So, first of all, the PGA Championships is at the course where Rory won it previously. Now, we know that he didn't have necessarily the best Masters that he wanted to have. But I am convinced this man will not finish his career without another major or majors. He is too good. This guy is someone that is in the top 10 for like fucking 15 years, right? It actually is actually mind-boggling that he hasn't won a major in the last 10 years because he has been pretty much in that 10-year time period the most consistent golfer, bar none. Fact. Like, there isn't anyone that's been in the top 3 or 4 for that same time period, or the top 10 at least, as what he has. It's just hasn't been. There hasn't been anyone else. Like, people come and gone and go and win majors and disappear and find new tours or do whatever they want to do. But he is there all the time. So I think he wins one. I also have a theory that he's publicly said that he feels like, because it's been so long since he's won a major, the next one will feel like his first one. And he had a bit of mind liggies when the Masters was supposed to be his first one and he bottled it. So I think once he wins one of the other ones again, which I think he will, then roll on the green jacket, because I think he's too good to not do the Grand Slam. I think he's good enough to do it. And I think, given his statement today regarding all the rumours that he was joining Liv, and he's come out and publicly said he'll be on the PGA Tour forever, you'd expect someone of his ranking to qualify for all the majors. But what I am concerned about, I think he's 34 now, 35, something like that. Not many win majors over the age of 40. So, realistically, he's probably got 20 more goes at it, which isn't loads. 20 more goes at all majors, if you break down over like the next sort of 5-6 years, which isn't loads, but I think he'll get one. And then I think US Open could be Bryson DeChambeau, because one of the reasons that he struggled, so he had a really good first round. He's got some new clubs, as I touched on earlier, these 3D printed golf clubs that seem to be, they call him the scientist. I think he's a bit of a pioneer of the game. He's, they call him the mad scientist at times. He's a bit of you either love him or hate him type thing, but, whatever. When it works for him, when he's on, he's on. There ain't no stopping him. And I think that first round of 7 under shows what he is capable of. But he really struggled with the pace of the greens and reading the greens throughout the rest of the week. Like, at one point, I think it was the second or the third round, he had 3 putts in a row, which is like unheard of. And basically, he's got this little laser gadget thing, AB all know what it is, that helps him read the greens. And he learned how to putt using green reading books with like arrows and numbers and all sorts of stuff on them, which basically at the Masters, both of those things are banned. You cannot use them. So the first day was obviously like really on it and like things were just dropping for him. But I think the next couple of days he was, he rimmed like fucking loads and loads and loads of putts. He was like genuinely like centimeters away from winning, if you will, but just like 25 times, you know what I mean? Like, he was rimming everything. So I think if he's allowed to use all of his weird techniques and things that he's allowed to do, and the form that he's on with the clubs that he's got, I think he will probably be in the top 5 at most of the majors and probably have a shot of winning, to be honest with you. So they're my 2 shouts. And for the Open, I'll chuck Tommy Fleetwood out there just because I want an English person to win it.
AB, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've already said that I think Scottie will win the US Open. So That leaves the PGA and the Open Championship. I agree with. It's not often I agree with DB, but on this occasion, I do agree with him in terms of Rory, and I think he'll actually win the Open this year, and then 2025 he'll hopefully clean up. But PGA, I actually think it's going to sound obvious now that he's done it, but Ludwig Højbjerg had an unbelievable Masters tournament. Considering, so this guy, it was his first ever major appearance. So this time last year, he wasn't even a pro, and then he turned pro, I think, around June.
He's the first guy to get a full tour card out of college.
Yeah. So I think around June he came out of college, became pro. Luke Donald played with him and had kind of scouted him in the college setup anyway. Knew he was going to go pro. Played with him, picked him for the Ryder Cup. So his first big event really was the Ryder Cup without having ever featured in a major. He's now debuted at the Masters and finished second. And he was unbelievable over the weekend. On another day, if it wasn't a guy that's, at his absolute peak at the moment, he could have won the Masters on his debut. So I think it's not exactly an original tip, but I think based on his performance in that tournament, he will become the PGA champion next month.
So there you go. We've given a few tips there, and our tips from the 2 podcasts ago where we gave out who we thought could win the Masters. We weren't miles away. No, you boys weren't. You weren't miles away, were you?
Look, all I say is if they stopped the count after day one, we were looking like the golfing geniuses that we think we are. We thought, here we bloody go. This is it. People will think we know what we're talking about.
I think we went a bit early on the socials after day one. We did get a bit excited because all 6 of our picks were thereabouts. But yeah, go on, DB. Why don't you ended up coming closest?
I've got so Bryson was obviously top 6, which would have paid out each way if you backed it, because most of them do top 8 or top 10. Well, I actually had a return of £76 from my £10 each way at 33-1 on Bet365. Shout out Bet365 if you want to sponsor the pod. You know where we are. Rory finished tied 22nd on +4, which obviously doesn't pay out. Corey Connors tied 38. Foxy tied 38 with Corey, and Shane Lowry tied 43. We'll just shout out Shane Lowry's hole out on the 14th because he holed out from the trees and it was a sensational shot. If you have the Masters app, you can go back and watch that again. So you can see every single shot still available. We only had one guy miss the cut, which was Wyndham Clark, which was a bit of a shock. But, overall, I'm quite happy that 5 out of 6 missed a cut. When you look at some of the names that did miss the cut, you've got Spieth, you've got the current Open champion and Harman missing the cut. You've got Sam Burns, Hovland, Wyndham Clark, as we mentioned, Justin Thomas, Sergio Garcia, Zach Johnson, Justin Rose. There's some big names that are missing the cut, So 5 that were in it that made the cut. They're not the worst in the world. If you were doing some sort of fantasy golf league, could have been a lot worse. But yeah, Bryson, the best pick at tied 6th. Probably should have been a little bit higher, but he let a few shots go over a few rounds.
Yeah, I don't think we were that far away, to be honest. For the first sort of couple of days.
Special shout out to Foxy AB, who clapped out at 200-1, was 4 under after the first round, and he was still under par after the second round, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to say. Is, we've pulled out some guys there that were in the mixer in the early part of the tournament for quite considerable time. So Foxy, like you said, he was leading at one point on day 1, and then he was still in the mixer on day 2. He fell away a bit over the weekend, almost pulled it back a little bit on day 3, but then eventually fell away on day 4. But I don't think we can come out of this with a little bit of credit. I think we tipped 6 good shouts. You've made some money on 1. I was close with the others, but yeah, I think we go again. We've said who we've got to stick with. We've got to remember what we've just said about who we think is going to win going forward. But we'll tip some others when the other majors come around. But yeah, I think we can hold our heads high in terms of our predictions.
I tell you what's good out of all of that was DB. You mentioned Spieth. I watched him. I can't remember what hole it was where he's hit a 9, where he's literally just gone back and forth over the green. His putting's awful, and it just makes you feel good that even someone who's like a professional athlete, major winner, right, has like still got it in them to have a little stinker. Because my handicapper, like ourselves, it just makes you feel good, doesn't it? Really.
Do you know what as well? I saw a lot of like 3 putts, and like Rory had a 4 putt on one hole. And I saw this question, actually. I'll ask the both of you whilst we're here, because I know what my thoughts are. I saw this guy ask his fans on Instagram, if you started on the furthest point away from the green at Augusta, so some of the putts would be like 150 foot. If you started on every green on every hole, do you think you could win the Masters? So essentially, you're looking at putting it in 4 shots on a par 4, 3 shots on a par 3, or 5 shots on a par 5. But going, Scottie obviously went 11 under. Do you think over 4 days, if you started on the green, you could do that, knowing how many of the pros 3 putted and even like some Rory, like 4 putted at times? I'm sure there were other ones that weren't televised and some other big scores on the greens. But go on, what do you think?
I don't think I'd get better than 11 under.
No.
So I think Augusta, the greens were absolutely ridiculous in that tournament. I don't know what the official, is it stimp rating? I don't know what that was for the thing. But, between the wind, the general condition of the golf course anyway, and then the wind drying them out even more, they were absolutely lightning quick. People were just tapping their putters and getting absolutely nowhere near because it was just flying past. So I would say part 72 holes, no chance. Absolutely no chance from me.
I mean, I've actually got a putting mat at home, which I frustrate my missus with quite often. And so if I'm completely honest, no, absolutely no chance.
I thought you were going to compare your little bit of carpet to Augusta then.
No. Absolutely no chance.
Do you know what? I'll throw this one out there. I didn't even think I'd make the cut.
No. Well,
I don't know. It's +6.
Yeah. Victor Hovland hit +7, didn't he? But he had that tap in that he tried to just, the classic pro when they just try and knock it back, and he missed it. And he's ended up missing the shot by a stroke. So,
yeah, I mean, That would be a hell of a stat and a piece of content. That'd be a clickbaity piece of content. Like DB doesn't make the cut after starting on the green. I think that'd be a funny.
Maybe we can get on one of those simulators and do the putting and see how we actually putt at Augusta. We'll see if that's possible. I've got some contacts in the game. We'll see if we can do that. Nice.
Right, moving on. Coming away from the Masters. Let's talk PGA and Live. I mean, there's obviously the balance there of players. AB, do you want to kick things off for this one, mate?
Yeah, can do. So I think PGA, the Live side entered, or Live golfers that were there, it was 19 in total. Basically, Bryson, Cam Smith and Tyrrell had really good weekends. Obviously made the cut, and they've all finished in the top 10. So they all, did very well. Obviously, Tyrrell's only joined recently, so he's, it's not really affected his game as much. Bryson had a fantastic tournament, as we've mentioned, one of DB's picks. Smith is always very good at the Masters. He's the only player in history to have shot 4 rounds in the 60s before in 2020. So those 3, kind of, as you would expect, went really well. A few of the other guys didn't do so well. So some of the past champions like Sergio, Bubba, DJ, they've all missed the cut. John Rahm made the cut by the skin of his teeth in his defense, and ended up kind of being irrelevant across the weekend. You know, he obviously was, you know, there for the presentation stuff, being the defending champion, but in golf terms was fairly irrelevant. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a debate that will just fizzle out eventually. I think, you know, the golfers that have left have not become bad golfers overnight. Some of them can show up in a major and still deliver. You know, there's questions around Bryson. Could he have, you know, held off and managed to deliver a win if he'd been playing, you know, proper tournaments and, you know, four rounds and things like this? But I think he didn't do too much wrong to, you know, fall away. He was very unlucky with some of his putts and things like this. So, yeah, on the whole, you know, it is 1-0 technically to the PGA Tour if you want to put a score on it, with Scottie winning. There was some great performances by, you know, other PGA players. So we mentioned Højbjerg. Colin Morikawa out of nowhere found some form. So he's not won any tournament of any kind for a little while, let alone a major. So to see him up there on the final day was pretty welcome return to form, really. He'll be one to watch on the back of this. Tommy Fleetwood, another one, fantastic tournament. Again, someone that's regularly sort of up there in the majors without yet delivering a win. I couldn't believe what I was watching on the final day, because he played an absolutely flawless round of golf and he put himself in so many good positions. And some of the putts went in, but more of them narrowly missed. And if he'd held a few more, you know, earlier on in the round and in the middle of his round, he would have been right up there putting some pressure on Scottie and the other boys that were ahead of him at the time. But he had a fantastic tournament. So, yeah, he's also one to watch going through the rest of the season, as is Max Homa. Again, not really ever been up there much in the majors, but had a fantastic tournament, was in the final groupings on the last 2 days. And again, he fell away a little bit towards the end, but he's knocking on the door and he's probably not far away from delivering a big title soon. And the final mention to Nicolai Højgaard, who I think was also a debutant at the Masters this week. I think it was his first tournament. He was up there for the majority as well, led in spells. Sadly, on the final day when he was in the outright lead, I think on 7 under, and he just completely fell to pot, basically. And yeah, I think he's one to watch. I mean, he's a dark horse. He could win on his day in the future, but sadly it wasn't to be in this weekend. But yeah, it's an interesting, there was, you know, as you'd expect, an interesting mix of PGA players and live players.
Yeah, one of the ones that there was a lot of noise about coming into the tournament from live was Joaquin Niemann, because he is obviously not won a major before, and everyone was sort of suggesting, oh, this guy's the most informed guy on live, like he should be at them all, like blah, 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 like he could go and win one. And look, he done all right, you know. I think he was just outside the top 20. So he finished on +4, which is a solid major performance. He did okay. But like, you know, these sort of live fanboys, they get a bit carried away with some of them. Like the major champions, you can't knock. But some of these other guys, like, do you think this Masters has an asterisk next to Scottie Scheffler's name because Taylor Gooch wasn't here, or?
No, not at all.
Exactly. Like, there's a few of them that are getting a bit carried away. But I think overall, I don't think live hurt their brand in terms of quality from the positions that they finished at. Like, they've got 3 inside the top. Bear in mind, they've had, like a quarter of the field. They've got 3 inside the top 10. They've got various other ones that have made the cut, like Neiman, Brooks, Mickelson, you know, Rahm. A few of them are there knocking around. And then, like, you know, some of them have obviously missed the cut, but like we've mentioned, your Burns, your Hovlands, your Spieth, your Thomases, you know, recognisable names on the PGA Tour also missed the cut. That is golf. It's a tough game. I don't think there's, you know, like AB says, technically 1-0, I suppose, because Scheffler won, but I don't think anyone's come out like ridiculously on top in terms of like quality. Like if a Brooks or a Bryson or a Cam Smith or whoever popped up and won a major, you wouldn't be surprised. Like, it wouldn't be like, oh my God, where's that come from? Whereas I think one of the live boys who hasn't won a major, CC Taylor Gooch, if he qualifies for any, don't think he does, but you know, a Joaquin, fuck him, but a Joaquin Neiman or someone like that, if one of them popped up and won it, then I'd be like, fuck, fair play. Then maybe they have got some other golfers there. Because we know the ones that have won majors can win majors because they've already done it, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think, like, there's a lot of noise that goes on, right? Even we're comparing them now, Live and PGA. Do you think that these lads actually playing? Do you think there is that tension when they're there? Obviously, like the Netflix series, that really dramatizes it, and like they try to put things together of like, they are really like, you know, against each other and they argue and all this sort of stuff. Do you actually think this happens, or do you think they just turn up? They're there to play golf. It is what it is, you know.
I think when it first started, there was real tension when they rocked up.
Sure,
People weren't speaking to each other. But like on the par 3, who did Tyrrell go around with again? Tyrrell went around with Matt Fitzpatrick on the par 3s. And like, I can't remember who was on the bags. I think Tyrrell had kids there or something. One of them's Matt Fitzpatrick had a mate from college. And like, you know, it was all friendly vibes. And there was a few of the other Live guys were out with other people. I think Brooksy played with someone who wasn't on Live. I can't remember specifically. It was a long time ago. I think he played
with Max Homer.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a few of them that are obviously like actually like mates, and like I think it's all right. I think as a golfer, you know, we thought in that episode with Tom Kim on Full Swing, there's like that bit where like, you know, although everyone wants to be your mate and is a little bit friendly, everyone deep down is trying to suss you out because ultimately you might be mates, but as soon as you are on that first tee box, you're opponents. And I think, you know, regardless of Live, PGA or whatever, everyone individually is turning up to win. And I don't think really that Live boys would be like, oh, we got 10 inside the top 20, so we're better than the PGA Tour or anything like that, or vice versa. And to be honest with you, the crux of it is, I think deep down, if everyone's honest, the higher quality golf is on the PGA Tour. Don't care what the Live boys say. They've definitely got major winners in there that are capable of winning majors now. Definitely. But in terms of the actual quality of the overall field, the PGA Tour is above and beyond what Live can provide. Facts. And I just think that probably won't ever change, really. Doesn't matter how much money they throw at it. I just don't think it will.
AB?
I agree, mate. I agree.
It's not a stat there, so he doesn't want to talk about it. That's what that is there.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's finish up with best dressed. Obviously, there was lots of fashion floating about. Who do you guys think was the best dressed at the Masters?
Well, shout out Wyndham Clark's shirt on day one because he was looked like I tie-dyed it in primary school for school project. So not quite sure whose idea it was for that. Also, shout out Sergio Garcia, who came as like a half-ripened banana. I'm not quite sure who fucking sorted his fucking outfit.
Well, it's the Masters colours, wasn't it? Green and yellow.
But yeah, but there wasn't even the right shade of yellow, was it? It's just
it was
yellow.
Very loud.
Yeah.
Very loud.
Don't know. Matey boy, who was the guy that was wearing the long sleeve shirt?
So this was Torbjorn Olesen from Denmark.
I respected it.
Yeah, button-up shirt like he's going to the office.
Must have been
I rated it because back in the day, throwback golf, like way back when, they used to wear like dress trousers and button-up shirts like that to play golf in when it was the gentleman's game. And yeah, I thought it was a bit of a throwback. It looked quite sharp, but he must have been hot. He must have been hot. But yeah, I thought he was dressed quite sharpish. Who else was looking good?
So the other one that made a few headlines was Jason Day because he was repping this newish brand, Malbon Golf, who, you know, I think they've recruited a few high-profile names recently. I think so. Obviously, Jason Day. There was a few others in the men's game. Charlie Hull represents them now in the women's game. But yeah, he first of all on the first opening days he had baggy trousers, which were just going all over the gaff in the wind. So they were a bit. I don't really know what to make of them. I would have found it very distracting myself trying to like play shots and do putts and stuff. But yeah, he said they were fine. So fair play
Just
to
on the
him.
trousers, I did see a side-by-side photo of him and Tiger Woods from 2000, and Tiger had similar trousers on in 2000. But I'm not going to pretend like they might have been fashionable then. They're definitely not fashionable now. Like, it was a shocker.
Yeah, I think they were pretty awful. And Jason Day also got asked to remove a sweater vest. So he had, I think it was day 2, he was wearing this vest top and it had Malbon Golf Championship across the front. Basically, Augusta took offense to that and asked him to remove it. So he took it off for the remainder of his second round. So I guess that's fairly unprecedented. I'm not sure many others have been. We've spoken about Liv. They're all in their own gear, the Liv team shirts and things like this. But yeah, there was some very questionable clubber. Put it that way.
One thing I would say is, from Malbon, if they didn't mean it deliberately, is absolute stroke of luck or genius. I think if they've done it on purpose, it's genius, because the whole world was talking about it. The whole golfing world, anyway, was talking about it afterwards. And like Jason Day got asked about it in his press conference and whatnot. And then obviously that's been clipped up, put on socials. Everyone's going, if you didn't know who they were already, you bloody know who they are now, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. It could have been very clever. I think we don't know whether it's deliberate or not. They've genuinely designed something, but yeah, all the press that they're going to get from it and the exposure, being a new brand as well. So like I said, they've signed some high-profile people in the last few months. They're fairly new, and the people that they've signed have left. I think Jason Day was with Nike, for example. He's left and joined, and yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of eyes on them this weekend, that's for sure.
So we've discussed some poor fashion choices there. Obviously, people can make some good ones. If you boys were to get your clubber on for the first day of the Masters, what Barretto golf items are you choosing? Create your fit. What are you choosing?
It's day 1 for me. I'm going classic white tee. If required, red quarter zip and black trousers. And then the final day, I would be wearing my black cap. I'll be wearing probably my black cap throughout the week. I might chop and change to the other ones, but the black cap is my favourite. The final day, I'll be walking up 18 to collect my green jacket in the palm tree polo, without a doubt, because that's my favourite Barretto golf item for sure.
Nice. AB?
Yeah, similar, but I guess in a little bit reverse. So I would go loud days 1 and 2. So I like my flamingo polo. So I'd open up with that, my blue trousers, maybe my white quarter zip if required. I use a white cap and a grey cap. So that goes with any combination. So I'll probably wear the white cap when I've got the white quarter zip on. Day 2, I'd probably go similar. Blue trousers again. Would go with the toucan. So I like the toucan polo as well. And then maybe my grey quarter zip. My grey cap. I guess final day, if I'm going in to sort of win the tournament, I would be going classic. So black trousers, white polo, red quarter zip, and my grey cap. So I think we've got, our range, whatever the weather, any occasion, we can sort you out.
We cater for all needs.
That sound good. And effectively, if someone's got this far in the pod, right, then just clicking on the link and just having a little nosy on the website, BarrettoGolf.com. There's no harm in it. And then just
shout out Barretto Golf. If you want to sponsor the pod, you know where we are.
Yeah. I think we already do, mate.
But that just about wraps up. That just about wraps up our Masters pod. Thank you to everyone for listening. We're really enjoying doing the pod. So if you are enjoying listening to it, make sure you give us a nice review on whichever platform you guys are listening to, and we will catch you in the next one.
Just really quickly, Clarky, before we shoot off, because that was a lovely way to round it off, but just to thank everyone that has listened. We are now have subscribers in 7 countries, which is absolutely mental. So shout out to you if you are in the UK, Canada, United States, Austria, Australia, Ireland, and the Netherlands, because we fucking love each and every one of you. So thank you very much.
We do indeed. We do indeed. AB, hit that outro music, mate.
Right on. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, lads.
Go well.